Today I am going to show you a build that I've used to carry my fire teams in countless Grandmaster Nightfalls, Master Dungeons, raids, and even a Wave 50 clear of Legend Onslaught. With this build, you will be able to maintain constant invisibility, healing, and damage resist, spam a ton of supers, generate infinite special ammo for the whole fire team, and make a ridiculous amount of orbs. Now, if that sounds a bit too good to be true, the results from my 50-round Onslaught clear on Legend are on screen now, and the numbers don't lie. And the best part? Every part of this Void Hunter build is easily obtainable to the casual player. And that's a great thing, because the exotics and weapon choices are an integral part of this build. So if you want to put the team on your back as you carry them to glorious victory and obtain that sweet, sweet emblem, then this is the build for you. My name is D2 Nova. I hope you enjoyed today's video, so let's get into it. Starting off, we are on the Void Hunter subclass, which is easily one of the best endgame subclass kits thanks to its ease of access to invisibility. For abilities, we are going to run the Deadfall Tether Super, Gambler's Dodge, Triple Jump, Smoke Bomb, and Vortex Grenade. The grenade and jump can be changed, but the melee, dodge, and super are going to be essential for maintaining our invisibility and controlling adds. For our first aspect, we want Vanishing Step, which allows dodging to grant us 5 seconds of invisibility. We then pair this with our second aspect, Trapper's Ambush, which allows us to do a diving animation that consumes our melee charge and creates a smoke cloud when we hit the ground. Enemies in the smoke cloud are weakened, and allies within the smoke cloud gain 6.5 seconds of invisibility. This will allow us a huge benefit, as it will allow us to help teammates out of sticky situations like we had in this boss phase. For our fragments, we first want Echo of Starvation, which grants us Devour upon picking up an Orb of Power or a Void Breach. Defeating enemies while Devour is active will grant you a 100 HP heal and anywhere from 7 to 20% grenade energy depending on the tier of the combatant. Heals are almost essential in endgame builds, so make sure that you are rocking this fragment. By the way, if you've made it to this point, please consider joining the D2 Nova Discord to stay up to date on all future build videos and other Destiny 2 content. I'm actually doing a silver giveaway this weekend, so if you want a chance to win 1,000 silver and make yourself the drippiest guardian in the tower, the link to join is in the description, and with that, let's get back to the video. So next up we have Echo of Obscurity, which grants us 5 seconds of invisibility upon finishing an enemy, and we will lean heavily into finishers later in the video, so be sure you run this fragment as it is essential to the gameplay loop. Thirdly, we want Echo of Harvest, as this will allow us to spawn an Orb of Power and a Void Breach upon defeating a weakened target, and as our Trapper's Ambush weakens targets, we will be able to take advantage of this very often. Finally, we want Echo of Persistence, which has 2 very crucial effects to this build. Number 1, it grants us an additional 2 seconds to our initial buff activation, meaning we now have 7 seconds of invisibility from all sources instead of just 5, and 7 seconds of Devour instead of 5 on Orb pickup or Void Breach pickup. Number 2, and one that a lot of people don't seem to realize, is that it extends our maximum Devour buff from 10 seconds to 15 seconds, allowing us to keep Devour procced significantly more easily. Please consider subscribing if you didn't know that. So with all these aspects, fragments, and abilities, we now have an easy way to constantly keep invisibility and Devour up, and to generate orbs from defeating weakened targets. This makes our exotic armor of choice, the Omnioculus, a no-brainer of a choice. Its exotic trait grants us 3 unique traits. Number 1, we gain an additional melee charge, meaning we can spam our Trapper's Ambush dive more often and weaken more enemies for more orb generation. Number 2, while we are invisible, we gain a whopping 50% damage reduction, no matter the source of invisibility. So now you can see why Echo of Obscurity, which grants us invisibility upon hitting a finisher, is so important. Number 3, we are granted 50% of our melee energy back for every ally we make invisible with our Trapper's Ambush, meaning if both teammates are nearby, our melee is fully refunded. In addition to that, allies are also granted the 50% damage resist while invisible. This all combines to offer some of the best survivability possible, but when we pair this loadout with our weapons of choice, both legendary and exotic, this is where the build truly becomes unstoppable. So first off, for our exotic weapon of choice, we want the Dragon's Breath exotic rocket launcher, which allows us to melt everything in sight. Now, if you want insight into exactly how Dragon's Breath works, feel free to pause the video now and read all the technical stuff from this screenshot I took of the Destiny Data Compendium. The link for that is in the description, and while you're on your way, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button to support the channel. But in a very boiled down summary, Dragon's Breath makes stuff explode and deals a ton of damage over time. Defeats with Dragon's Breath spawns fire sprites without any cooldown, and you are granted 12.5% grenade energy per every fire sprite picked up. In a little bit, I'll show you the absolute best way to use Dragon's Breath for maximum efficiency. But before that, we need to go over our energy slot weapon, Indebted Kindness. Now, Indebted Kindness is the new special ammo sidearm from the Warlord's Ruin dungeon, and it packs a ridiculous amount of power into such a small weapon. Now, it is a special ammo weapon, but don't worry because I essentially was able to use it as my primary weapon thanks to our mod setup. Speaking of which, I'll put all the mods on screen now so you can copy them. Of course, we have the obvious ones like Arc Siphon, Dynamo, and Resist mods. But while you copy these down, I want to highlight the main core mods that will make this build tick. These are going to be Special Finisher, Proximity Ward, Powerful Attraction, and Stacks on Stacks. These 4 mods will allow us to collect orbs of power when dodging, gain more armor charge per orb of power picked up, and then use those armor charges to safely hit finishers and generate infinite special ammo for the whole fire team. This is where the Echo of Obscurity and Omnioculus synergize extremely well, as we gain invisibility and a 50% damage resist buff after we finish an enemy. Now, the gameplay loop for this build is fairly simple. Use your Indebted Kindness as your primary, and use Trapper's Ambush for survivability and weakening targets. Hit finishers whenever you have 3 armor charge to spawn special ammo for the whole fire team. Now, you can use Dragon's Breath in one of 2 ways, and honestly, both are extremely effective. For higher health targets like bosses, mini-bosses, and champions, I like to invis in, tag them with Dragon's Breath, and then proceed to dive with Trapper's Ambush to gain invisibility and weaken the boss. This allows our Dragon's Breath to deal more damage to the target, and allows us to ensure we don't waste a rocket on a target that moves out of the way. Alternatively, you could opt to pop your tether and then tag the tankiest target in the group to ensure maximum damage. Because not only will the main target take Scorch, but so will all the surrounding targets as Dragon's Breath is spewing out its solar scorching AoE damage. This destroys almost any wave of enemies because 50% of the damage dealt to any given target is shared to the other enemies affected by tether. Be sure to pick up Void Breaches as often as possible, as each one grants 12.5% of your class ability energy back upon picking it up. Repeat this and absolutely destroy everything. This build is a ton of fun and honestly viable in any level of content. As I said, I've used it in dozens of GM runs, Legend Onslaught runs, and just about any other endgame activity you can think of, and it cooks. This is definitely one of those builds that belongs in one of your loadout slots because it is a true cornerstone of a build for hunters. If you like this Void Hunter build, check out this crazy Void Titan build I made. And with that, my name is D2 Nova. Thank you for watching and have an amazing rest of the day. Peace.